Alright, Monster Hunter, you know it, you probably love it. I mean, the formula of the game is just so simple. Eat food, turn an endangered species into a limited edition, and then turn them into pants. It's a gameplay loop as ubiquitous as Lethal Company or Dark Souls or Stardew Valley. And like those games, there's a lot of things trying to replicate it. Sometimes successful, and sometimes a little less successful. And one day on Steam, I was getting ready to hop on I'm stuck in an all-female elf village and can't leave until I've impregnated them all, when I realized that a certain game I was eyeing up was 90% off, and so I decided to buy it, and I think I might have discovered the best Monster Hunter ripoff that you never played. Packed to the brim with a bunch of silly little creatures and equally silly abominations of weapons. So I decided to procrastinate on the 3 assignments I do next week, clicked download, and hopped into Wild Hearts, and let me tell you, I was absolutely not disappointed. Oh my god, it's Zorah. Oh no, it's Zorah Magdaros again. Not again. I awoke in a cave, cold and confused and hurt, where I was soon met with a couple crates. All I remember was that I was a vagabond of sorts armed with nothing but my trusty katana. I began to climb the sacred mountain, or should I say, tried to. It went well at first, you know, stalking innocent creatures and using their giblets for warmth. Slip pet. I can... What? Wait, no, come back. But soon, this creepy ass hobo decides to bunk at my place and says some cryptic stuff, where I was then promptly jumped by a massive ice wolf who whooped my ass so hard the game didn't even bother letting me fight it, sending me into a cutscene where I broke all my bones and now we're here. But alright, no matter. I've played a FromSoft game before, so I built out the cave with these Legend of Zelda ass building mechanics and made my way up to the Haragasumi Way, where I was met with... Oh, that's not good. Okay, I think I should go kill it. So, the Ragetail is the Chupacabra of this game, the Great Jagras, if you will, and well, like those guys, this poor creature serves as a glorified testing dummy. See, these weapons are kind of like Monster Hunter weapons imagined in a fever dream. They're almost there, they share a couple moves, but apart from that, they're completely different beasts. Take the katana for instance. This thing is frankly more dual blades with an EI slash than the longsword. You get these crazy burst damage moves from most of your attacks, and at any time you can nearly instantly enter EI sheath to avoid taking any damage. Really, it feels a lot like dual blades, and I think that's mainly due to the amount of flurry moves. I mean, you run circles around these guys because you're so damn fast and you do a bunch of damage, and combined with the unique Harakiri system, it makes for one of the most fluid combat systems I've ever touched. Do I understand what I'm pressing? Hell no, but I'm enjoying it a lot. Now, as for the Ragetail, it's actually an incredible starter monster. It has a really silly design, being this gremlin of a squirrel with a massive ass tree as a tail that it uses to clobber your skull in. Can it really be putting up much of a fight when I'm Virgiling all over him? No, not really, but it was still fun nonetheless. See, like in Monster Hunter, all of these guys have awakened moves that activate when they're pissed, and the ones in this game are not subtle in the slightest. These things take the monsters from easily brain-dead creatures to the actual spawns of Satans, and that applies even to the very first monster in this game, because, well, no, don't attack my Fortnite tower. Oh my god, my poor tower. So after promptly locking in, we finished him off without much trouble, but by the time we're back, our smithy is up on her feet. Easy game. Final blow, wait a second. No, that's so extra, bro. What the fuck? Here, we've realized not only that there's a whole ass skill tree for this stuff, but there's also a lot of buildings. Like, enough to have made me fear we're about to have another Cult of the Lamb situation, but luckily, we're only needed to craft an anvil. I took the liberty of also crafting a drying rack though, because we'll take, just look. Yes. Yay. Wait, they're so cute. Look at them. Oh my god. Alright, what's up? Anyways, distractions aside, now we're introduced to the weapons. On one hand, we have the Nodachi, but instead of the washing pole, we get a massive Greatsword, and this is by far the most similar weapon to Monster Hunter in this entire game, because next up, we have the umbrella. This thing is insane. I didn't use it myself because I felt like parrying constantly in a Monster Hunter game would make me want to krill myself, but when in the hands of a master, like, I don't even know what I'm looking at, but all I know is bro is not getting hit and that stupid god bird is getting cooked. However, out of the two, I decided to use the Greatsword because I was much more familiar with it, and I don't think footage of me scrambling around with the umbrella, failing parries would have been very interesting. And wow, I did not regret it. See, this weapon took all the groundedness and calculative and cold strength of the Greatsword and took it and chucked it straight out the window, instead opting to replace all of it with pure hype and aura, and frankly I see this as an absolute win. Let's go test it on an innocent creature trying to find lunch. Meet the Sapscourge. This rodent-like creature goes around sucking up sap and attaching things onto it, where it will slowly devour its prey. Well, at least I think. That or this dude is a real fucking idiot. Like, how the hell do you zote yourself to an oversized possum? Anyways, we're here to shave a couple inches off his lifespan. Come on. You fucking my ass! Okay, Greatsword is still Greatsword. I can't really run into it with hopeless abandon like I just did just then, but luckily what you lack in the amount of hits is greatly made up for with the pure amount of damage you do because, well, I'll let this footage speak for itself. This guy's kind of weird because he kind of just rolled around spreading his annoying ass sap everywhere, but luckily for me, it still wasn't a match for the true charged slash, which turns out hits just as hard in a ripoff as it does the original. Luckily for me, the wins just keep coming in, and the increased mobility I got from moving charges made the fight feel so much smoother. Everything in this game is just faster. All the monsters, all the weapons, even the way you heal without the sheath mechanic, a lot of things in this game just feel like they're going at Mach 10, and I frankly love it. It feels like this game relies a lot more on instinct and quick reaction than the back and forth so common in Monster Hunter fights, which makes the gameplay feel incredibly unique and different. I mean, if we were to look past the surfaces, the system themselves are incredibly distinct, which should be obvious by how I'm chasing after the bastard with a greatsword slowly charging up to remove its entire health bar. Oh, there are tail cuts in this game! Holy shit, a Monster Hunter game has animal cruelty in it. 10 out of 10, game of the year. No matter, we finish off the Sapscourge and we get him down where we reunite him with his sister. How wholesome. Next, we continue to climb the mountain that houses the city of Minato on top. And man, is this a good hub area. The one thing I miss in Wilds is the lively nature of cities. I mean, we had Yukumo, Port Tanzia, Kamura, Astera, and the list goes on, but in Wilds we don't really have that. However, this game does not disappoint, with Minato being one of the best hubs in terms of pure design. I mean, the massive wooden walkways connecting the entire thing, the hubs filled with commerce, and the docks far below, all being traversed by your own zip lines, not to mention the celebratory plaza on top. It was a really wonderful place that sent me all the way back to Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, because now we're on the first difficulty spike of the game. Yep, we're going from fighting small innocent rodent-like creatures to a massive fuck off hog with horns 10 times the size of me. This is a certified Monster Hunter moment. The Kingtusk is, well, just take a look. Shit. Oh my god, what in the Elden Ring delay was that? My health bar! Shit, I didn't upgrade my vigor enough. Wait, this guy's gonna one-shot me, right? This is kind of insane, no? I am very easily impressed. You let me shoot my own coins, I'm happy. You give me a parry, I'm happy. You scale up a fat ass hog 100 times and give it a mammoth tusk, I'm happy. Not every design has to be crazy with 10 metaphors. Sometimes all I want is to 1v1 a giant ass pig with a cool anime katana, and honestly that kind of sums up this entire game because it just makes me feel really, really cool. Of course, you can't really expect this guy to be easy. This dude's hits are massive, and it taught me the importance of sprint dashing, which allows you to travel insanely quickly and offers a stupid amount of iframes. Of course, it also lets my skill with the longsword shine once more, dashing through his attacks and scoring my main combo off him with the EI slash. This dude is rather simple. He's really big and surprisingly fast for that size, but that massive hitbox as well as his massive delays between moves outlines clear movements for you to get some damage in before bouncing out. It's also one of the fights that rewards good positioning, as you'll need to get out of his charge. Huh? What is, did I just do an ult? Did I just ult? Oh, I'm popping off. I'm popping off. A bulwark can fend off charging kimonos. Use a fusion of 2 rows of 3 crates to... Okay, bad timing. What was that? Okay, so if you thought the simple weapon design would lead to a simpler game, you're absolutely wrong, because it turns out the Karakiri can wrap itself into a giant structure that literally completely obliterates these enemies in the blink of an eye. Here's some advice. Please do not ignore them for half the game like I did. These things are crucial, and right now it's just a simple wall, but eventually you'll be able to make giant hammers, harpoons, and even fucking machine guns, so please, pay attention. don't make my mistake, because if you use them right, they'll give you massive opportunities for absolutely free. Emphasis on if. Massive emphasis on if. Like, I completely immediately forgot that these were a thing after they were introduced, but whatever. With this newfound mastery of building a wall like I'm playing Minecraft, this guy was short work. As long as I made sure to keep my distance and made the most of my damage opportunities, I was golden, and while there were definitely some very close calls, I managed to best this oversized pig in no time at all, bringing the end to our time in the Harugasumi Way and bringing us to the Natsukedachi Isle. Fellas, it's a beach region. Capcom, if there's no beach region in Wilds, I'm gonna cry. We haven't had a beach region in so damn long. As a resident of the beautiful country of Australia, I can confidently say that this may be the only redeeming thing about living here, because I can't afford food, or a house, or video games, or the Switch 2, and much like Australia, there's deadly, horrifying creatures everywhere.
Oh, that's kind of creepy.
If you feel sorry about me living in Australia, you could always click the subscribe. Anyways, now we're dealing with the Tobi, the Spinglider. This dude is very silly and is also filled with hate and demonic anger. See, with this small hitbox, he just so happens to be very fond of flying, jumping on massive rocks and then charging at you like a ballistic missile, which is awesome because he's a pain in the ass to hit, and even when you do, he'll turn into a fidget spinner and grind up all your bones. You might be wondering, hey dude, you should really build a wall when this guy starts to fly at you. And to that I say, yeah, I already forgot I could do that. Yeah, you heard me right. This is the 5th time I'm repeating it, but please don't make this mistake when you're playing the game. Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Look, there's a part in every Monster Hunter's journey where they go from killing a literal city level threat to a street level one. Like, seriously, how am I supposed to explain to God at Hell's Gate that I managed to kill a rebirthed god amongst dragons capable of mastering all the elements created from the combined hubris of mankind, but somehow get mogged by a fucking bird? Except now instead of a bird, it's a damn sugar glider destroying me. I think I've got to think of some way to deal with this. And wait a second.
What the fuck? There's so many new mechanics all the time. Oh my god.
So yeah, now we have the power to summon a hammer out of nowhere and bash the skull of any silly creature we stumble upon. Great. With this knowledge, I totally forgot the mechanic existed for, let me check, 6 more fights, and we finished the menace off. Unfortunately for me though, this was really just a warm-up for what was about to come, because up next is the Lavaback. And well,
wait, that's... Oh, that guy's really intimidating. Jesus Christ. Turf War? Oh. Well, let's see this. That is such a cool design. Whoa. I wonder who wins this. Oh my god, he got dunked on. Oh! Oh no! Alright, well, we found him. It turns out he was just a warm-up for that guy as well. This is the first real difficulty spike. This guy was fast, nimble, and packed an absolute punch, only nerfed by the fact that it's very easy to dodge sometimes. Yep, for a monkey, he's got some really, really bad aim. Unlike other monsters that just slam themselves down at you, this guy decides to also farm some aura while absolutely destroying you. All of his attacks are really acrobatic and pretty, and his design is just incredible. This game is too poorly optimized for it to show the experience itself, but look at my boy on the promo art. Oh my god, he looks so damn good! You cannot tell me that this move where he pulls a magma basketball out of his ass and then slams it on you is not cool as hell. Now all hope does seem lost. Make no doubt, this guy was easy as hell, but I had to take a shit really badly, so I didn't really have time to finish. So I decided to call upon the power of friendship, and I was joined by 2 fellow hunters. It turns out that forcing a monster whose entire moveset is precise lunges and slams to fight multiple players nerfs it a lot. Who would have thought? I mean, even without the Karakiri, we absolutely butchered this poor primate up. That was until it awakened. This guy gains the classic video game trademarked, now has an AoE every attack he does, which frankly wasn't the worst thing because how crazy everyone's mobility was. Honestly, if anything, it just made the fight better because now everything was really cool and cinematic and my PC was crying for help. I kind of just spammed the F keys and he was getting killed, so I assumed we were doing good work. But this guy just did not die. He was doing backflips and flexing on us with 50 puncture holes across his body. Like, goddamn, please just die already. Also, he's literally just Luffy. Like, look at him doing stretches that slingshot him across the entire arena directly into my spine. At the end of the day, it was just a really nice experience to finally fight something where I was not the one bullying the monster and was in fact being the one being bullied. I kind of missed this. But his second phase really was beginning to whittle down my healing reserves, and it was seeming like we were slowly losing our steam. Luckily for us, however, my intense urge to not shit myself kicked in, and just like that, the Lavaback was downed. Yippee. We proceeded to do some cool lore stuff by opening up this cool structure in the ruins, which is like pretty silly, and we're immediately told to punch once more and to stab what looks to me like a giant mole creature. Equally as cute as he is kind of horrifying, his black eyes like black holes piercing into my soul. Oh wait, that's not a metaphor. Nope, he just has the power to summon black holes for some reason.
Oh, is that a... Dude, it's Water Quimitrus. That's awesome. Dude, that's such a cool design. Wait, what? That's such a cool design. Dude, look at that thing. That's awesome.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love being sucked by big black holes, but not when this abomination is rearing up his fat ass to obliterate half my HP bar. Much like Monster Hunter, every single enemy has a tendency to pull out an ultimate from their ass that they'll use to immediately wipe your entire vitality if you're not careful, and this guy is no different, sucking you in before grinding down every bone in your body to dust.
Whoa, that crab kind of saved my ass.
Luckily for me, however, I had a longsword and often could dodge my way out, which was very satisfying. And well, look at this guy. This guy was practically made personally by God to be fodder. And I mean, it's tragic, but alas, someone has to fulfill it.
Oh, this can't end well for me. This cannot end well for me. Yeah, it did not. How the hell am I supposed to get out of that move, I wonder?
Now you might be thinking, what does he do when he's enraged if he's literally capable of making vortexes? Surely he's about to pull some real peek out, right? Yeah, no, he just kind of gets a cool ass mask and his tail lights on fire, and that seems to make him want to desperately flatten you with his fat ass stomach even more, so he was dealt with pretty quickly. I'm sure we're gonna follow the obvious line and keep fighting more low tier monsters before we move up to harder fights.
Dude, I'm telling you, that is just Zorah Magdaros, but green.
Straight onto Zorah Magdaros, except now he's a bear with rock hemorrhoids. Great. There's a couple things I want to say about this fight. One, it's leagues better than Zorah Magdaros. Not really a high bar, but it's more visually cool and the gameplay is so much less boring, albeit not really that high praise. See, you and the crew set up this absolute monster of an ambush in this insanely beautiful arena, might I add, and you're armed with a massive gun capable of rendering the beast apart. Your job is to take a comfy location, grab some tea and some snacks, and hold down the left click button until it dies. Yep, that's about it. Every once in a while, you'll be forced to chase after it using the zip lines to reverse around, which I will admit is pretty cool, but once you're back, all you're doing is hurting the big blue rocks and hoping it falls over, which it does, so you're prompted to slam a spike into its skull and rush over to lobotomize it. The final phase consists of you needing to poke his hands as he attempts and fails to break the defenses of Minato.
Oh, I see.
And once you do that enough, he trips for some reason and you whack his head a couple times before stabbing him really hard on his right hand where he will kneel over and die.
I think he's dead?
Yippee. And with that, we're officially not entered into high rank. Nope. It turns out this dude was more or less just a random creature, and the real challenge is going to be the flagship of the game, the Deathstalker. Is its name really the Deathstalker? Is its name really the Deathstalker? Oh well, I can't really judge when it comes to names. Let's go after it. But before that, let's quickly get some new upgrades.
Wait, there's so much stuff. Oh, what the fuck? That's insane, no? I'm sorry, what?
Okay, the claw blade is peak. It's genuinely peak cinema. It's like if they made the dual blades actually fun. Okay, not really. It's like they took all the peak, hype, and aura moments of the weapon and just made it half its moveset. See, the real magic of this weapon is pure aerial dominance. Once you've attacked your claw into the enemy, you're basically levying around them and they're cooked. It's over for them. And what better test subject than the Spretail? Poor bastard is quite literally just a normal Ragetail, but now he occasionally makes you sleepy, which unfortunately, roofing me is not quite enough to stop
stop me from doing 360s around you before shaving a quarter of your health bar. This is without any major upgrades with really weak gear, and even with all these stacked against me, I was owning this poor little creature. The fight itself wasn't much harder than the Ragetail. They basically had an identical moveset, with the only difference being the Spretail had some minions around it and an annoying sleep mechanic, which my goated little robot buddy would save me from because the stunts in this game are so nerfed. That being said, the sleep did make it kind of hard for me to land my ultimate move, but apart from that, it was very smooth sailing. His attacks were so small scale that the moment I hooked onto him, it was basically over. Not even close. Of course, all good things have to come to an end, and now we're fighting a flying monster. Yippee! I'll keep it real, this is the very first dragon-like enemy we're fighting. Yup, I am not kidding. This is the only creature so far that's felt like a dragon, and it's a fucking chicken. Okay, I should not have skipped that fucking cutscene. Is that a chicken? Okay, I should not have skipped that cutscene. Oh shit. This guy's difficulty came from trying to build up a meter because it was super hard to hit. Especially without remembering I had bulwarks that would ground him, so I spent a good majority of my time chasing after him like a headless chicken. Of course, when I could land my moves, this was satisfying as hell. I mean seriously, this has to be one of the most satisfying cool weapons in any Monster Hunter game ever. The way you zip around, weaving in and out, doing as much damage as possible without even getting hit is pure cinema, and it helps that every time I finish the combo, this glorified Rathian gets grounded and turned into giblets. Would he have been much easier if I remembered I could knock him out of the sky with hammers or block his dash with a wall? Yes, but too late for that now. Of course, I was not too concerned for the difficulty because it was just a chicken after all. Or that happens and I immediately get cooked. No, that works as well, I'm not even gonna lie, that's fine. Okay, you know what, that is basically a Rathian. I can forgive myself for throwing like that. You know what though, it would really suck if I had to kill him 10 times for gear later, right? I swear to god, me and Rathians, man, I had to farm so many of them in World and had to farm them in Wilds and not in this game as well. I hate this thing so much. Luckily for me though, the more I fought it, the more I decided to lock in. His attacks really reward you for not being too aggressive, and it really helps my case that when I was in aerial form, he was a lot easier to handle. However, before long, we're done. Hopefully that's the last flying boss in a while. Okay, that's a bird. That's a massive bird, dude. Do I really have the mental energy for this? The Fumebeak is one of the monsters of all time. I mean, sure, his design is really cool, but the fight itself balances between really frustrating and very easy. The bird has poison, which to be honest, isn't that big of a problem since you're stuffed full of delicious healing water that quite literally grows on trees. And yeah, that's also the case in Monster Hunter, but the fact that you can speed across the entire map by dashing in 2 seconds helps quite a lot. Luckily, this dude's pretty forgivable when it comes to flying monsters, since one of his attacks literally makes him slam into the ground and break every bone in his body, grounding him for like a whole second where I would farm my meter up. Contrasting that, there's this move where he begins to spin really fast and like, bro. And for everyone telling me to build the wall bulwark, yeah, you're right, I really should. Too bad I'm a fucking dumbass and forgot I could. Luckily, the claw blade allowed me to retaliate with equal amounts of BS. Imagine a mosquito, except after pissing you off for a couple seconds, it decides to pull a gun and shoots you. That's kind of my thing. That being said, the fact I had to fight this dude like a level 1 Elden Ring player made it unbearably slow, and the fact that he decides to run for half an hour every time he flees made my time on this embarrassingly bad. Oh my god, he's running away. Why is he running away? Of course, it didn't really help. I was doing so little damage with my completely unupgraded gear. Let's go. Come on. Jesus Christ. This is so stupid. But whatever. Dude, I'm just following it in the sky. That's foreshadowing, by the way. No. Okay, I need to learn how to build Katakuri way better because I did not do anything. Alright, this motherfucker. Yeah, this guy is the gatekeeper. His existence on this planet is exclusively to prevent players from progressing the game without proper gear. It's really noble until you remember that I have 3 assignments due in a week and I really need to get this video out. Please subscribe, I'm sacrificing my chemistry grade for this shit. And anyways, let me detail you the full set of events before the successful attempt. See, on my first attempt, I was filled with so much confidence. I had just absolutely bodied every single monster before this, but then I quickly realized that this guy was not going to be able to be defeated with a little hype and aura. Oh shit.
That is not an insta-kill. That, in fact, the very opposite. That feels like one of his least damaging attacks. The second went pretty terribly as well. I kept rushing and not paying attention. I was still in the mindset that the goal of the fight was to chase after the thing until it died, but in truth, this thing was definitely controlling the entire pace of the battle. And I kept going, slamming my head against the wall with endless attempts with no confidence in myself that I could win. It was like 1 AM, I was so tired and I wasn't thinking straight, and I thought I could just go in with the same mentality I did in every other fight. Because with every other monster, I could get away with attacking, getting hit, and then just running away and healing with zero consequences, but this prick just keeps on going, giving you zero chance to breathe, and so I died over and over again. It got to a point where I decided to just fight him really slowly, taking my time and getting to the second phase after a whole last 20 minutes, which is crazy. But then some random joined and then bam, they died and we lost. Not really their fault, by the way, I definitely threw, and I also can't really blame them because they taught me something really valuable. Bulwarks. Yep. I still had Bulwarks and Karakiri, and I really should use them, and with that knowledge injected back into me, I decided to lock in once and for all. I spent some time getting better gear, collecting materials, and killing small monsters to craft some new drip, as well as one single weapon upgrade, and with this renewed sense of confidence, I decided to eat. I know, I'm a revolutionary. And finally, with all of this preparation, I gathered myself and I challenged him without the need for anyone else to assist me. Not really by choice, no one just joined this multiplayer game, so I had to solo him, unfortunately. But in retrospect, this guy is probably my favorite boss in this entire game. His moveset feels like Arkfeld, in that they require you to dodge it properly or you will absolutely feed and die a horrible, painful death. Positioning is much less of a problem because he's always going to be able to get to you before you can come to him, and you'll be able to dodge out nearly every single time if you're smart enough. He's got this really super annoying attack at first where he strikes, pushing onto the ground, surrounding the area with a bunch of ice spikes. But once I learnt the timings, it was one of the most satisfying dodges I've ever done. It's kind of like Radagon's second phase attack where he does this. Every opportunity I could, I would pull a massive hammer out my ass and hit him with a big 200 damage strike, making sure not to waste a single thread as he chased after me. I didn't do anything risky. Hell, I barely even managed to land my ultimate attack, but it was progressing and I hadn't even died yet. And with enough caffeine and sleep deprivation in my system to kill a horse, I was getting ready to finally get this over with. And with that, nerves rushed into my system and I prepared myself for the final phase on top of the building. Shit. Please don't kill me, please don't kill me. We live. We dead. We live. Now, with my massive supply of thread, I could muster up all the hammers I've ever wanted, and I used that to my best ability, basically residing my main weapon and relying exclusively on the Karakiri to do damage as my heart rate came to a peak. There were some close calls. This guy has this attack where he roars and then does a Vault of the Boreal Valley on your ass, but the problem is his first dash isn't immediate and he'll often psych me out, leading to me getting insta-killed by the next two. But this time, I was prepared, edging myself to only dodge at the very last moment, memorizing everything in his arena and finally realizing the truth of the matter. He was no longer the one controlling the battle anymore. I was. And that, folks, is the magic of a battle in Monster Hunter. A mere mortal taking control of a fight with a Goliath of a beast. Oh my god, holy shit, holy shit. What god do I have to thank after this? Okay, go. Come on. There's still an entire other phase, dude. Oh my god, you have so much health. Come on, hit him. Bonk. You're fucking kidding me. It's fine. I fucked up. That's not gonna hit him. Oh my god, it hit him. Is he dead? Is he? Oh my god. Holy shit, all solo. God damn. What a fight. Okay, that was a really good battle. I'm not even gonna lie. It was stressful as hell, but it was really, really good. And then I watched a bird solo 2 of them in literally 10 seconds. So, yeah, I sure hope that I'm not gonna fight that thing next.
See, after I quickly finished my number one hater, the Deathstalker, I knew I was not meant to be here. Make no doubt, my ass barely made it out. My weapons didn't do enough damage and my armor was unable to protect me from being one-shot on multiple occasions. This made me quickly realize that above all else, the upcoming challenges were going to be a battle of pure attrition and willpower with a possibility that every hit would wipe me out. So on that topic, we're onto the mighty Kingtusk. You know the fat ass pig that almost one-shot us during our first encounter? Yeah, we're running it back instead of almost one-shotting us, it decided to lock in and now it just one-shots us now. This is gonna be so awesome! The Kingtusk, in my opinion, is one of the best examples of a simple design done very well because it is in fact an awesome design. See, most game developers scale up something as normal as a pig to like 100 times its size, making it almost as big as a human, but these devs didn't care. They just full sent it and made this guy absolutely disgustingly massive, and that scale makes him both visually and gameplay-ly appealing. Like in his original fight, his gameplay loop was very simple. Get a bunch of hits in between attacks and be far as hell away when he's attacking. The difficulty really only comes in two forms. One that's his charge, which requires you to build a wall lest he gets run over by like a bowling pin, and the other one being his fat ass health bar. Anyways, we see this giant hog stare down another hog and I immediately started attacking the wrong one. Look, I wanted to fight the cooler one, but I guess we're in high rank now, so it's time to repeat the exact same fights. That being said, this one is definitely a good repeat. See, I was joined by these two absolute giga chads and they were armed with stuff I've never even seen before. I mean, they were making guns out of boxes, literal stake throwers, and is that a nuclear fucking bomb? Yeah, it was one of the experiences of all time, seeing these veterans decide to basically do charity and help out my dumb ass. These guys also had some funky weapons I've never seen in the hands of another player, which is always nice to see, but the craziest part is, even though we were absolutely clowning on this poor guy, he didn't drop, and it was only until we reached his second phase where I realized that this dude's health bar was disgusting. Now, being that we're no longer restricted in our healing, I had no doubt I would have been able to beat him solo with more time and patience, but seeing this dude tanking 2 nuclear bombs and now summoning the earth to his aid, maybe it was best I got help from this guy. Speaking of help, the claw blades, oh my god. Zero skill and zero thoughts going through my head. I would spam M1s and M2s until this bar filled and then bam, a 3000 damage. And at the end of it all, I discovered the beauty of actually dodging when I was airborne, because I got out of so many bad situations that I definitely should not have been able to escape. I also discovered the value of vulnerable hitboxes. See, in Monster Hunter, if I see a number that's white or red, I immediately get soft and look for the yellow numbers, but for some reason my brain never put 1 + 1 together and did it in this game until right now, mostly because these guys are so damn quick that I didn't even bother try to hit their weak points. Man, it really shows. This guy was slow and oh my god, his damage does not make up for it because he is absolutely getting cooked. So after a whole 20 minutes of spit roasting this poor guy, he finally fell and we finished the mission, and I began to think about what I would turn his giblets into when I get back to Minato. Oh, that is not good. Holy shit, that's a fucking phoenix, bro. Oh my god, the entire town is burnt to a crisp. It reminds me of Australia. And speaking of Australia, here's the price of a house. Please subscribe, my goldfish is starving to death. Or comment, that helps a lot too. Anyways, Amaterasu is a giant wood bird with the power to summon the power of the sun for some reason. And for some reason, after we killed the Deathstalker, pissing it off, it decides to thank us by firebombing my home. Awesome! Well, time to prepare for the hunt. Now, with Amaterasu facing us down, we're officially in high rank. The game expects us to fully farm up a good set that will replace all our old gear, because if we don't, this bird is going to spit roast us, but unluckily for us, I am not only lazy, but hate the grind in this game because it's so unbearably long, so I'm going to get it later. See, the monster I decided to cyberbully was the Dreadclaw, because this guy not only dropped some very good armor, but also the very best weapons against Amaterasu. And fortunately for me, the remaining 2 people still online on this game must have thought so too, because the moment I spotted him, they popped themselves in my lobby and we began the hunt. Remember when I was struggling against him before? It turns out the bulwarks are really useful, like incredibly powerful, but maybe I would use them more if I could summon a harpoon out of this mass that drags the stupid bird onto the ground directly into a ticking time bomb. I don't even know what to say about this kind of stuff. Me and this other dude were bullying the bird with our melee damage while another guy was shooting the bird with cannonballs, all while our Karakiri went to town on this poor bird. And the craziest part about all of this was I
don't even think this chicken got a single combo out. Truthfully, it was so one-sided and I loved it so much. However, when I say the grind in this game is bad, I do mean it because oh my god, it's horrendous. When I look back, I realized I wasn't even close to getting the weapons and my armor was basically unchanged because for some reason I needed claws for everything, which is the one thing this dude does not drop, and even the materials that he does drop come so sparsely and so infrequently that it was so frustrating. But alright, let's run it back. Awesome. And okay, not enough. Run it back again. Feels terrible. Okay, I'm at a crossroads. I can make like 2 pieces of armor, which is not nearly good enough, and before you ask, there's no way in hell I'm getting the weapon upgrade in a timely manner, so let's make a choice. I can either keep grinding for like 2 hours to finally get the gear, but if I do, every single person online would disconnect and I wouldn't be able to get any help for the fight. Because this game has no players and I have to really value the time that I have with the peak population. Or we ball out, lock in, send a prayer, and by prayer I mean we hope that a high level player gets us through. Holy shit, that is so cool. What the fuck? Okay, we are fucked. We're not winning this. So I don't know the lore, but I have an inkling that this was literally just a god. I mean, this guy literally warps the entire color correction of the game, and phase 1 tricked me into thinking he was easy. I mean, he was just like every other bird, but slightly faster, dashing at me, occasionally sucking all the Karakuri strands out from my balls and exploding, and it was honestly kind of chill, but that was until he got enraged. I'll let these clips speak for themselves. Dude, what the fuck am I dealing with right now? This is a god, bro. What? How am I supposed to win this? Okay. How the fuck am I supposed to deal with this? This is quite literally asking a high schooler to kill God. This is gonna be an adventure. But if I know anything about JRPGs, it's always about the journey. The depths of learning, your experience as you journey across the world to accomplish your goals, getting closer to your friends and your tools before you finally encounter what seems like an unbeatable creature. Over the many years of JRPGs, the win rate of teenagers to gods is like 90%, and I cannot add to that 10%. I was just missing something. Not skill, not gear, not even practice. I was missing the power of friendship. Bengaru, my number 1 of all time, my number 1 goat of all time, is here to save me, and save me he does. Immediately, we got to cooking this bird up, sending a stake into its heart to bring it down as the tides of battle began to change. Is that to say the fight was easy? Hell no, every attack was still undoubtedly going to one-shot my ass, and it was still incredibly annoying to hit. That being said, these are some of the best moves I've seen in a Monster Hunter style game in general. I mean, some of this stuff is on the same level as Raging Brachydios or Selfie Jiva or even Jindahard in terms of pure spectacle. This guy loves aura farming. Thankfully for us, we can disturb his aura farm by shooting him, and that's exactly what we did, and now with 3 people against 1 bird, it was an absolute slaughter. Constantly distracted, even if one of us were to die, would instantly get revived and not lose a life, which is incredible. If this was a feature in the Fatalis hunts, oh my god, my life would be objectively better. Also, like every flying monster in this game, the Clawblade was an absolute blast to move, and I hit some absolutely juicy clips on this guy. And this one was especially cool because a single mistake would send me into the depths of hell. Now here's the thing, I will admit this wholeheartedly with zero guilt, my ass got carried. I mean, this guy was going crazy with the umbrellas while I was flopping around in the sky like a fish. I mean, these guys brought guns to a sword fight. It was really one of the battles of all time. But again, these games were always more enjoyable with friends. As a Monster Hunter who usually plays solo, I can say that I enjoyed these multiplayer experiences so much, and while there were a couple of problems, multiplayer, some that the game can't control and some that the game can control, like oh my god, how is the multiplayer somehow worse than in Monster Hunter Wilds and Worlds, it was still an amazing experience. However, all good things must come to an end, and that includes this awesome hunt. Nice. Holy, I got carried so hard. I mean, it is cool. He is named after a god. I don't know why I thought I would kill him. He looks mighty alive. If he has a 3rd phase, I'm gonna lose my mind. Oh my god. What? Oh, I just bunkered his fucking neck! This axe name sounds cryptic and stupid, but well, there's really no better way to describe it. See, when I say the boss is like a Souls-like fight, I mean it in a couple ways. Number one, it's literally just a Souls boss. I mean, the final fight in this game, you'll see what I mean eventually. However, there's also another definition, and that's that it feels like a classic Miyazaki dance. However, before we get there, we must first help rebuild the city because oh my god, this place is cooked. It's almost like we fought an actual god here. We hand 2,000 bucks to this dude with very beautiful eyes, and then go and try to upgrade my gear. Emphasis on trying. I couldn't upgrade shit, and so in my disappointment and fear that I was gonna get one shot off every other boss in this game, I rushed over to the mighty Lavaback to prove myself. So it's the Lavaback, but again, and by mighty, I think it just meant that everything one-shots me, because I swear to god, he did not do this in this first fight. Yeah, my health was kinda low, and yeah, most of these attacks would kill me, and yeah, I didn't do much damage at all, but that being said, this is still one good ass fight. Now that it's more difficult, I actually get some time to enjoy and memorize this fight. One thing about the Lavaback is that it's relatively big for its speed. Luckily, that speed is contrasted by the general precision in which he actually hits you. You would think the fat ass lava monkey would just be able to flop his arms around and burn everything in a kilometer radius, but instead of doing that all the time, he decides to aura bomb and dunk on you, which I've already said, but it's a mixed success every time, and I could usually dodge it and get some attacks in. That being said, he's by no means not a threat. Like most monsters in this game, you're required to dash away at precise times and not take immense amounts of damage, but he can actually back it up with follow-ups that, if not dealt with, will erase your entire health bar. Also, because he's not flying, shooting him out the sky with harpoons is not nearly as effective as it is. Like, it still is, just to a lesser extent. However, it gave rooms for me and my plentiful hammers to go bash his brains out, which is pretty silly. One thing that is noted is the pure aura that this guy has. I mean, the enraged form is sick. He just summons magma out of nowhere and goes crazy, and I was lucky enough to have two teammates who were absolutely locked in, dancing in uniform to bully this guy. Like in the first encounter, this dude really struggles with multiple people. He gets all glitched out, not really being able to pick out who he wants to kill, which means he's basically harmless the entire time, at least for me, who's not doing that much damage. Of course, it would be nice to actually have been able to tank more than one hit and be able to be more aggressive, but oh well. I'm sure I can craft armor out of him. Alright, nothing new here, on to the next monster. Now, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a pretty big fan of Elden Ring, and especially bosses in Shadow of the Erdtree. I mean, Rilana, Messima, Midra, Baal, even the final boss, they're all the peak of the boss fight medium, to the point where I genuinely enjoyed the level 1 run I had for this challenge. Well, except for this dude. And the Dancing Lion, but he made up for that by the fact that he has massive aura. And also the hand boss, Meteor, was also a really bad level 1 boss. Oh, and also this dude, yeah, he was also, let's look past that. The Golden Hippo, in my opinion, just isn't very fun. He's just a bunch of AoE spam, and he's just so boring, yet still manages to kill me, even when I feel like the boss is literally not supposed to be that hard, and I just died to him so many times. It was so embarrassing, and that is the exact problem I have with the Goldshard. This guy really reminds me of the Golden Hippo because his entire gimmick is rolling around and shooting these massive golden spikes he has on his back, except unlike the Hippo, this guy has a million health, or more likely my weapon is just too weak. The one thing that saves him remotely is his design, because even though I find it rather boring, he's still very silly and very cute. That being said, the main contributor to my misery wasn't any of that. Not the difficulty, not the speed. He was a relatively well balanced fight. It was that no one wanted to help me. I waited for so long for someone to join me in this hunt, but there was no response. It seemed like everyone who wanted to help new players were on the Lavaback because, well, that dude is difficult and this dude isn't very. And yet I was still rapidly losing heals, and while that wasn't really a big problem in this game, it still stressed me out because if I lost, I'd have to reset all 20 minutes of me slowly chipping this dude's health down and restart from scratch. It was 2 AM. I did not want to do that, but just when all hope seemed lost. Bengaru, my goat. They carried me through Amaterasu, and now they're gonna carry me through this. Upon their arrival, I quickly remembered the existence of the Wool Bulwark, which would have saved me from getting one shot, but oh well, better late than never. From here, he finally becomes enraged, and I got to see his actual moveset. A golden shower that was pretty harmless, check. A built-up roll that was basically a free window for damage as long as you had 6 threads, and if you don't, good luck, check. A second phase where he decides to run for half an hour and stall out the fight, check. Now, I don't dislike this boss, not at all. I think if he was in the early game and was properly geared up, I'd have a great time, but he was just so boring, especially compared to the next monster on this list, which is, in my opinion, one of the best fights I've ever experienced in a Monster Hunter game. Full stop. Hell, maybe even one of the best fights in all of gaming. See, after we fix the town, we immediately get interrupted from our hangout to the fact that there's some kid who started a fire in the forest, but upon closer realization, we realize that it's not a kid, but rather a massive rainbow peacock bastard, which we'll get to soon,
because the main event is the Golden Tempest, a royal, badass tiger thing draped in gold like he's a king, his mere presence extinguishing the fire because of his sheer amount of drip that exudes from him. The moment I laid eyes on him, I realized I needed his giblets to make pants for me, and so I rushed to engage with this fight. Traveling across the shrines, we reached his arena, which is just a ruin of what used to be a site of worship, and now he sits as its head, like he's lounging on a damn throne with his minions guarding the arena. I mean, this was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Now here's the thing. This guy just does one-shot me, so I need to approach it like I'm in a level 1 Souls-like run, and frankly, it worked really well because this dude felt like he dropped straight out of Dark Souls 3. All of his attacks were incredibly easy to roll through and really hard to position out of, and that made sense. Because positioning was much less of a factor in whether or not I could do damage, I found that I enjoyed this battle a lot more because I could actually get my hits in at a manageable rate. And while I didn't do much damage to him, he also didn't hit me at all, and when I got hit, well, yeah, all the bones in my body were broken, but at least I could predict and dodge out of it and maybe survive. All of his attacks also look incredible, dodging and weaving through like a dance. This fight felt like one of the most easy fights in this game, but that wasn't because it was easy, it felt fair, and that was something I missed so much in this experience. I just didn't see much challenge. I was having a blast squeezing in hits between his attack windows and dashing out just before I was about to get cooked. He reminded me of the Deathstalker in that way. You were forced to dodge his attacks and be patient, making sure you strike at the very right moment, memorizing the iframes of not only your dodge but also your weapons to be able to get full combos off. It was honestly a magical experience where I felt the glory of this game's beautiful combat finally shine through. It began to dawn on me that this wasn't just another Monster Hunter ripoff, but it was its own thing with its own unique, beautiful soul that was taking the essence of Monster Hunter, using it to celebrate both itself and its inspiration. The combat was so beautiful that it made me realize the whole game was so beautiful. The way it told its unique story, the differences in the philosophy behind enemy design, and the way the weapons seemed to behave in similar but vastly different ways, add on the Karakuri system, and it made for one of my favorite combat systems I've ever had the pleasure to indulge in. And the fact that every attack in this game felt so good doesn't apply just to me, but also the enemies. The Golden Tempest attacks also lived up to its namesake. Every move had this super cool AoE of gold. When he hit his enraged state, I knew this was when the stuff was about to get real. Now, this was where my first death almost was, but luckily I managed to somehow scrape by, and at the same time I was pleasantly surprised to see another hunter join me. Now this dude, he was a menace, but we'll talk about him later. For now, just look at this. I think I can confidently say that this was probably my favorite fight in the game, tied with the Deathstalker. Both of these fights felt like moments the games told you to lock in, and that you weren't just going to be able to stun lock your way through everything. Beyond the use of Karakuri, I also found that making sure your stamina pool was healthy was crucial, so it really was like a Dark Souls fight. Now let me talk about a guest here. He uses the staff, which I only found out after beating the guy that it was pretty similar to the Charge Blade, which is tragic, but oh well. Now this guy, well, let's just say he was very good at the game. The way he stacked Karakuri, the way he never seemed to get hit, the way he seemed to hit the tiger for a quarter of its health every single time, his aid cannot be understated because frankly he kind of carried my ass. Because while I wasn't taking much damage, I don't think the tiger was taking much damage from me either, and being unable to confidently pull my Levi moves, I was often stuck trying to dash out of tornadoes before they sucked me in and one-shot me. However, because of this absolute Giga Chad next to me bringing me through the game on his back, and with the Golden Tempest down, I was refreshed with positivity. If every boss beyond this point was going to match this guy's quality, well, this was going to be one of the best games I'm going to play this month. And so, filled with excitement and joy, I began to fight what I now know as my least favorite monster in this entire game, the Ember Plume. If the Golden Tempest is the skill check, this motherfucker is the gear check. None of the intuitive dodges or the bullshit one-shots, and a mobility so annoying that it was basically a DPS race where I had no DPS. Unlike the Golden Tempest, which yes, it took me ages to beat, but I still managed to do it, this guy was just pure pain. Every time I decided to get close to it, it was like a gamble where I'd get one-shotted by fire or he'd fly away, and so I decided I was just gonna let the support system carry me. It might be over for me, I'm not even gonna lie. Oh my god, I hate, this is gonna be one of these fights, oh my god, I hate the Ember Plume. Like, I passionately hate this stupid bird. This was one of the most miserable 30 minutes of my life. Let's talk about this guy's attacks.
fire. Now I don't like fire attacks. My level 1 run against Bale and Medea told me that much. But of course, they just had to make it eat up my entire health bar. Combined with his small ass hitbox and his really fast attack speed and his inkling to nuke himself to get my claws off him, not only was I barely able to do any damage, but it seemed like I wasn't even able to land a single shot at all. Unlike the Golden Tempest, not only was he ugly with an unoriginal design my ass forgot nor cared about, he has a stupid expression with these stupid moves, and sure, his awakened form is kinda cool, but what isn't cool is the fact that all these fireballs are now track me for absolutely destroying my entire health bar. And when I got others, it seemed like the trend didn't even end. So yeah, time to redo this entire thing, and guess what? It took a full 20 minutes for others to join. I had to sit there, suffering alone, knowing full well I was just scratching it, doing hardly any damage and scavenging for holy water like a little mole. Now the second phase of the fight is honestly much better, and in my opinion, easier. This may be the teammates talking, but I felt like I had so many more opportunities to attack because these really intense moves often kept him in place for a lot longer than in first phase. A lot of his more annoying moves that were a pain in the ass were kind of just removed and replaced with actually fun moves to dodge that I found quite pleasant. But ignoring that, I think this fight is a lot better with just more people. Not having the entire wrath of the Ember Balloon's flames on you at once is honestly pretty great, and I think it made it a whole lot more bearable. Even then, it only shortened the hunt to about 30 minutes, and knowing that I've been trying to beat this guy for over an hour straight solo without any help from others, it left a really bad taste in my mouth, which was quickly made worse once I realized that I was going into the final fight with literally 0 gear upgrades.
Alright. No new armor. It's so awesome and cool. Jesus Christ. Alright, let's go.
I mean, I'm talking straight 0. I'm stuck with the same gear I fought the Deathstalker with, you know? Suboptimal. And while my gear was also 2 acts late, it was also 3 AM, so I was getting extremely fatigued, and I was really wondering if I could actually beat it tonight or if I was going to be forced to grind gear. But oh well, I just had to get this over with, and so I began the final trek up the mountain where it all began. Returning to the place where it all started, I began to think about my journey as I climbed up the sheer cliffs. How far I'd come from all the lessons I've learned, it dawned on me at the same time. I came into this experience expecting an imitation of Monster Hunter, but came out genuinely enjoying this experience as its own beautiful thing. Do I suggest you buy it for 100 Australian dollar dues or 70 USD? Maybe if you enjoy grinding the monsters over and over again and really like this style of combat, but for the steal that is $10 or $15 dues, it's absolutely incredible and I cannot recommend it enough. By the time this video comes out, the deal is probably already over, but if you've played Rise and World and you really want to scratch that same itch, wait for this game to go on sale and snag it instantly. I promise you will not regret it. But now it's time for the final showdown. I scaled the peak only to see the beauty of the mountains finally fade into view. This was, well, it was pretty damn cool. Winding roads snaking across the sky, all leading to one final encounter, and I was ready for it. I set up a camp, probably the final one I would ever set, and I braced myself for what would finally show up.
Dude, how the fuck am I supposed to hunt
The
it?
Celestial Dragon is one of the most beautiful fights I've ever had the displeasure to experience. Okay, let me explain myself. This fight is gorgeous, a factor that will only become more obvious as the fight goes on, but gameplay wise, it's alright. You basically wait until it attacks you and then you begin to attack it, rinse and repeat for 30 minutes straight, and honestly I think that's pretty annoying. Luckily it wasn't very hard. After I totally intentionally died, I restarted the mission and actually managed to have another player join me, and as I used my claw blade to chase the dragon up to the heavens, it began its second phase. Suddenly the dead trees surrounding the arena bloomed into hardy pink as the seasons shifted into spring. It was an awe-inspiring fight, to know that we were fighting a creature capable of changing the seasons, and while I didn't see many changes between the constant barrages and the spamming of harpoons at the beast, it quickly bowed down to start the third phase, the summer. The dry ground began to fill with summer dew as the trees began to turn a luscious green. The dragon roared to life once more, now with the power to breathe fire. How the fuck is a wood dragon breathing fire, you might ask? Good question. Anyways, the next phase is my personal favorite, Autumn, because, well, look at it.
Wow, that is so...
And while yes, it was still pretty boring gameplay wise, we were slowly but steadily making progress to taking down the beast, all the way until it seemingly entered its final phase, winter. The arena became blanketed in a layer of thick, beautiful snow as frost crept through the trees now devoid of any leaves. This time he has an ice breath, which again was pretty easy and boring, but I was shocked to see the pure beauty that was all of these locations, and as the fight began to draw to a close, I began my preparations for celebration, only for...
there was one final phase, a phase where the dragon awoke, his little nub on his face now blooming to reveal a dreadful beast underneath. Spirit bombs rained from the heavens as he swam off. Now fellas, as a player of Elden Ring, I already know this guy was about to dive bomb us, and I was absolutely right because he shot back into the atmosphere only for his face to end up straight in between a massive sword, bringing the beast down instantly. I guess that's the final boss. Okay. That was that was a beautiful fight. Gameplay wise, I don't know, but it was a beautiful fight. It was very pretty. Oh, okay, there's another phase. What the fuck is that? What? Huh? What the fuck? This is a Dark Souls boss. The celestial being is the Soul of Cinder. I'm sorry, but do you not expect me to make this perfect comparison? I mean, he literally uses Karakiri against you. It's so cool, and it's just the perfect comparison. But here's the thing. There's no way to call for others. No one came to save me. No people carry me. Only me versus myself, and I had to live with the decision to not upgrade any of my gear. I began to reflect on my entire journey, all the things I've learnt, the ways I've slowly mastered my weapons, and it began to dawn on me that I relied too much on others. I barely put in any of my own work. I was that person in the group project that did nothing. And I realized that I had to redeem myself. And just like that, the entire saga comes to an end. That finish was not scripted, and if it wasn't 4 AM, I would be yelling in joy and fear and happiness. At the end of the day, this is a really good game. And while I can confirm that the optimization is terrible, if you're itching for a Monster Hunter experience and this game's on sale, there's really no better choice. Would I buy this over Monster Hunter Rise or World though? Not really. While it's incredibly fun, it lacks a lot of the balanced experience that Monster Hunter hits every time on the head, and the gameplay often feels flat even though it's so incredible and flashy. Just something I notice, but trust me, it really is an incredibly good game. Anyways, now that this part of my life is officially over, I can get back to beating Monster Hunter without moving, so yeah. See you guys in 2 weeks. Thanks for waiting for so long and watching. Stay hydrated and safe, and bye bye. Also subscribe.